All right, so to access our fill ports, we need to take this fender liner out. And we've got a bunch of screws that just go all the way around this fender flare here, and then 2 here. And then once we get that out, we can just wrestle this thing out of here. They are 8mm head screws. Sometimes these things can be a little bit tricky, but there is actually a hidden screw that's in behind. If you have the fender flares on your box, that's where it'll be, in here. For some reason they put one in there, I don't know why. It's every Dodge I've ever worked on is like that. And I don't think there's any other ones. I'm pretty sure it was just that. So we get that out. Here's your fill ports right here. There's 2 of them. These caps come off. Now, they both go to the system. It doesn't matter which one you hook up to, whether it's the left one or the right one. They go to the same thing. The block connects inside, doesn't matter. I don't know why they have 2. Don't ask me. This is your switch block right here. So all of these lines head off to different components for airbags, of course, and then from your compressor in and out. The compressor itself is behind this shield. It sits in the back, and if you look up underneath, there's actually a cover that covers it right here. So it lives underneath of there. And a lot of times, like we have another video out there of just top 5 places to check, and the compressors always go bad for some reason. They're prone to getting moisture inside of them, and then they freeze in the winter time. And they lock up and destroy themselves, and they blow the fuse that runs the compressor so it doesn't fill the system back up when you have a leak, so on and so forth. But another place, some common places that they leak is that block itself. They're just made out of plastic, and the lines are plastic, and the fittings are brass. And they just leak, slow leak. Same with the fittings on here, right on top of the shocks. I've seen them leak here. I've seen the airbags themselves become porous and leak. And same with the front. Airbags leak in the front, fittings on top of the airbags in the front. I've never seen like a line go bad or anything, but mostly all the time it was either airbags, front fittings on the very front, there's like a brass fitting, and then this block right here. There's 2 air tanks that are your capacity storage for your air or your nitrogen, and they sit right in behind those blocks. There's 2 big aluminum cylinders, and yeah, if you live somewhere that has a lot of rust and corrosion, sometimes the aluminum can become crappy and become porous and corrode. So what I need to do right now, I gotta get these things situated back right. There are, from factory, there's gonna be like 2 big zip ties that hold this cover on. This is just a cover that goes over top of the bag itself. And what I gotta do is get this thing back and sort of assess these airbags to see if they're any good or not. I can see there's like a chunk broken out of the bottom. Same on the other side, it's been cut. So I don't even know if these things are gonna be any good or not, but I gotta get them in the truck, fill it up, and then I gotta leak test it all and see if it's leaking or where it's leaking, obviously. So this thing's been in an accident, and we'll get it situated. So let me just get this cover off, try to get them into the axle and situated, and we'll go from there. Okay, as far as tooling goes to do this job, you're gonna need a few things. Now, Dorman sells a kit that comes with both fittings that you need, as well as a line with a quick connect coupler. There's the part number. And it sells for about $400 Canadian, roughly, depending on where you go. Really, all that's in it that you're gonna need, pretty much, is one of these. This is just a quick connect coupler, and it's actually the same coupler that's on an air conditioning machine or gauges. You probably find it for pretty cheap. I know Parker makes a lot of airline fittings and hoses and all that stuff, and they sell this stuff too. Now there's many different variations of this, blah, 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 but you can see right on there, R134A, that's for a refrigerant, and this is the high side fitting. So this actually just clips right on to here. Let's see if I can get this thing to go on. Sometimes they're a bit of a pain for some reason, it's just a tight fit. But then once it's on, I can just screw it in, open it up, and we can bleed the system down. Obviously, we've still got air in the system. And once I purge the entire system of air, I'm actually able to remove the lines and stuff like that. You wouldn't want to undo the lines with the system still completely full. So don't do that. But another thing, this is the other part of it. You need gas to fill it back up. Chrysler recommends you use nitrogen. That's the go-to. And the system, they want you to run a regulator off the nitrogen tank that runs 175 PSI. So that's the spec. That's what you need to get and set it up if you're gonna be doing this yourself. This is obviously a bigger tank, but you can get smaller tanks. This is an M series tank, so that's this tall, but there's a Q, yeah, it's called a Q, but it's a smaller tank, about this big. So this one's actually a rental, and I just got it today, so we're gonna set it up and keep it in the shop for doing air suspension, but I don't know, you might be able to go rent one, find one, buy one, whatever. I would imagine you could probably use air too if you wanted to.
They want to use nitrogen because the particles or the molecules are bigger, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what the term for that is, but it's like it doesn't get affected by temperature, so it doesn't contract in the cold and it doesn't expand very much in the heat. So also keeps any of the moisture and stuff like that out. It's used in shocks across everything from bicycles to automobiles to everything. So this is the line. It's 9 feet long. Comes with a quick connect so that you can plug into those two fittings that come with the kit. And there's also like an on-off valve as well on the end of the line so that you can turn it on, turn it off, disconnect your coupler, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I got this thing bled out now. So just going to take that off and I guess continue with this. All right, so right off the bat, literally 20 seconds into the job, like I say, the thing got in an accident. Obviously the airbag's been yanked, the whole axle got shifted, and there's actually a collar that goes around to crimp the airbag to the lower support, and it's completely pulled out. So that airbag's probably junk. I'll see if it's possibly rebuildable at all, but I really doubt it. I don't think it is. Yeah, it's not like it's a removable ring. These things, I'm pretty sure, get like pressed on there. So
Could send it to a specialist shop, but do you want to after being in a collision and then all that crap?
yeah, like it's been all, either somebody's been hacking at it, which looks like it, like possibly a screwdriver or something, or it got smashed off of something multiple times. Who knows? But either which way, needs an airbag. All right, we're taking off this fender liner now. We'll be changing both of these airbags. We got some used ones. Customer supplied some used ones, so that's what we're gonna use. We did leave a link for some new ones. If you want to purchase those, check that out. Okay, so like I say, these plastic fittings or lines, sorry, they go into the top of this airbag, and it's all plastic, so it's all good coming out. It's probably the first time it's coming apart, but when it goes back together, we need to be really careful not to cross-thread the plastic lines. It's quite easy to do that. Don't ask me how I know. Also, yeah, when we go to fill this thing up, we have basically a toolkit now made for you guys if you're interested in doing this thing yourself. So it's really quite affordable.
Compared to the Dorman.
Compared to the Dorman one, that's like 400 Canadian, 350, 400, depends where you go, where you find it.
This one's like 199 Canadian.
Yep. And does the same thing. It's what you need. So obviously you would have to get a rental tank for nitrogen and whatever, but that's not hard to do. So we'll definitely have a link for this as well if you are interested in getting this and doing it yourself, because it's pretty easy to do. So get one of these. Okay, we're gonna take these lines off now. They are a 12 millimeter nut, and you can hear some air leaking out. Obviously we still have some air in the system.
But make sure it's drained.
Make sure it's drained, yeah. So this one was like completely collapsed. I'm just gonna crack it like that and let it hiss until it's out. Now, remember in the beginning, the air compressor kicked on. So there's a 40 amp fuse in the fuse block. If you pull that, the compressor will not run. Or you can go right to the compressor itself, unplug it, and it will not run. So we should probably do that so that it doesn't try to cycle and keep running and try to fill the system. All right, so we're just gonna pull the fuse for the compressors so that the compressor cannot run. And that is this 40 amp fuse right here. And that is fuse F05 on the list. Perfect. And we'll just set that right there. Stick this back on for now. And we will take these lines off. Okay, there's the bag out. One bag out. I guess, sorry, there is a brass insert that's in there. I'm thinking of the either the switching valve or the no, it's the plastic block with the fill ports on it. That's the plastic threads that you got to watch out for, but we're not dealing with that right now. So we'll go do the other side now, and once we get those off, we'll check out these used airbags that we got and clean up the fittings and get them installed. All right, so we've got our used coil here, and you can see we can compress that, obviously with no fitting in there. We can just squish the airbag, it's just rubber. Now there is some of these locating tabs that sit on top of these things that need to go in a certain direction so that when you stick that in there, it goes up into place properly and it doesn't just break all of these off. So you can see here we've got 3 rectangular style holes and then just a couple circular ones. So we just need to line those up so that we can get this in here properly. And this thing should, once we line those up right, they should just snap into place. I believe it goes in like this. So it's something like that. Now that we got those in there, we need to start our threaded line. Now I have pulled that out and sitting like this so that now I can feed it in over top. I'm gonna stick a light up in there so we can see what we're doing. Do take note that there is a rubber O-ring on here to help prevent leaks. Actually, probably does most of the sealing. And yeah, just make sure yours is not all dry rotted and cracked. And I might actually put a little bit of silicone lube on there just to help installation and make sure that the O-ring doesn't bind up or tear. My cameraman was saying we could have just installed it the way that we took it apart, which is true. We could do it that way as well. Whatever is easier for you. There's probably a torque spec for that, so don't crank it on super tight and strip it. Don't know what the spec is. Yeah, and we just go do the other side.
So the easiest way to drown the threads out is spin the shock around the nut
Yeah.
and then tighten it up.
Okay, now we just need to probably just stick these wheels on and get some of the weight, I guess, back to get the axle up against these as much as we can. Because when we fill these bags will expand really fast, and if you don't guide them while they expand, then they end up looking like that, and they fold out, and then they're a real pain to get put back in place, and they just suck to deal with.
What are we doing here instead of putting on wheels?
We're just gonna lower it down on the jack stands, try to lift the axle, push the axle, put the truck down. Let's see if we can get this axle closer to these airbags. There. Perfect. Looking good. That's what I was hoping for. Now, I guess we're just ready to fill this thing up. So let's grab our hose, our filling attachment hose, and get this thing filled up. Okay, so I've got the tool right now. Our regulator is set to 175. That's the spec. So we've got our tank open, 175 at the regulator. Our valve is closed right now. I'm going to hook this up. We did just turn the valve on just to make sure, just to turn it on and check, make sure we're good, no leaks, everything's cool. We're going to open up our service port now. That's just the plastic caps right here. You can see there's our service port. We're gonna fish this thing up in here, just like so. Might actually go in front of this. They give you this 90-degree piece so that you can access everything without having to supposedly remove your fender liner, even though, to be quite honest, it's a real pain with the fender liner on. There you go, we're connected. You can hear some gas go into the system. So now what I'm going to do is just open up this valve, and it's going to fill the system, including the air reservoir tanks. I'm going to fill that with nitrogen. It's going to fill all the shocks with nitrogen, the whole system. So we'll just turn this on. Oh, okay. Right, oh yeah. Still.
Did you adjust the regulator?
No, I left it at 175.
Good.
All right, so we're at 175 PSI right now. So that system should be filled. Just gonna go ahead and disconnect the system right now. And then what we can do is lift this thing up. Our airbags should be expanded. Obviously, we've got the weight of the truck on it right now. So I'm just going to uncouple this, just like that. Oops. We can ravel this thing back up. We are finished. And if there is any slight pressure differences in the system, that's okay. The air compressor will compensate for that and fill it up the rest of the way. So let's get this thing back up. We will, what I want to do is put our fuse back in for our compressor. I think I'm just going to put the wheels on it, and we'll lower this thing down on its own weight, and we'll see what we're looking like. I hate these rinky-dink fuse holders. It's like they go on and then they just don't want to come off. Okay, that goes back in here. Okay, our 40 amp fuse is back in. Now, our tanks filled up, but there's a switching block that's it's got all the lines that go into it with the colors and stuff on it. It shows left rear, left front, right rear, right front, and there's valves inside there that open and close to direct air to different sides, whatever you need. And it uses that for when you go to change your ride height control and stuff like that. So that I was expecting to be open, normally open, and for some reason we weren't getting any pressure to any of the struts, so that's a first. I've never seen that. Working at the dealership, I always filled the system up and the rear shocks would just expand, so that's not happening in this case. So whether that block is closed off for some reason or who knows, I'm just going to turn the key on, start the truck, and we'll see what's going on. All right, so we're in with the scan tool right now, and we're gonna just try to fill the springs from the reservoir. Normally, it'll do this without having to use a scan tool. I've been able to fill it up before, and but we're going to force fill it. So probably need a bi-directional scan tool to do this, but here we go. We're gonna fill the springs from the reservoir, and it'll probably ask us which ones we want. I've been through this before on the Chrysler scan tool, and maybe this one, I can't remember. Continue. Let's do the left rear. Actually, let's do the left front. Short time fill, complete fill. Let's go complete fill. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell that switching block in the back with all the lines on it to open up and fill the left front corner until the pressure is equalized and that corner is filled. Okay, so we went with the scan tool. We tried to force fill it, basically. Got nothing. So now we're just going to basically use the regulator's pressure gauge to check to see the reservoir tank pressure. Basically all we do is close our tank off and then purge the line, make sure we got nothing in there. So that sets our gauge to 0. And now we will plug this thing on and we'll see what we got. We should have something I would expect. 175.
150.
All right, pretty good. Not bad. So something's up then with our switching block is my guess, seeing as we have nothing coming out of the reservoir. So now I did have an issue getting in past the security gateway module on these trucks, and that's a thing now, so fortunately. But there's many ways around it, and I'm just gonna brainstorm what I'm gonna do next. Okay, so we switched over from the snap-on scan tool that would not get through the security gateway module, even though I'm all registered and signed up and everything. For some reason, we tried it for like 20 minutes. We got the launch out right away, logged in, security gateway module good. So launch for the win. Now we're going to try this fill spring from reservoir again. Now I'm gonna choose one. Let's do the one of the front ones. Let's do left front. That's right here. We'll do a short time fill to see if it even moves. There you go. Okay, so that confirms nothing really wrong with the truck, as I kind of figured. But the thing is, the security gateway module, if you don't have access to it and you have a scan tool, it doesn't matter if it's bidirectional or not, you can only read DTCs and data. You can't do any bidirectional functions. It doesn't matter. You have to pay that $50 or $100 subscription fee to get past the security gateway module, unless you have other things. Like if this is on your own truck, you're trying to fix it, there's a thing that you can buy called a taser that plugs in place of the security gateway module. And I don't know if it'll be on these trucks, but I know like for the Jeeps and stuff like that, and it basically just bypasses the security gateway module, so you can go in with your scan tool and clear codes and do stuff like this. I'm sure there's something for these trucks, I would imagine. And I hear that there's also harnesses too. I haven't tried it myself, but I heard there's harnesses that you can get. Anyhow, we've confirmed, let's get back on track here. We've confirmed that that's going to work. So basically what I have to do now is I'm going to try to complete fill the back. And every time we fill a strut, I basically got to go back over to the tank and fill the reservoir back up, because every time we fill, the reservoir is draining into that shock, right? So the reservoir pressure goes down. So we have to keep that topped up every time. So I'm going to try to full fill one of the back ones with a full reservoir. We'll see how much it drops. and then we'll go and do another one, and we'll check our pressures, and we'll go back and forth till we get all 4 shocks. And I think what I'm going to do at this point is probably put the wheels on it, and get the jack stands out from underneath of it, and I'll just leave the line hooked up though, and then that way I don't have to worry about like the axle falling off the jack stands and the hoist being up on the frame and all that stuff. So I'll get this all set up. We'll continue in 2 seconds. Okay, we have 145 PSI still left in the tank. So really that short-term fill didn't really give that shock very much. So let's try to go for a complete fill on this corner. Making some knocking noises. Look at that, it's lifting her up. That was good. It's still communicating. I'm on standby on the hoist here just to make sure. We're getting some more here. Very good. I'm going to say that's got to be pretty close to full. Yep. Fill success. Let's go and check our pressures now. What do we got?
100.
Wow.
Do you think 175 is the amount you need to fill every single one?
Possibly, and then the compressor might just
Top it up.
fill the reservoir back up.
Yeah, and you don't want to fill up with the 175 because then the air has nowhere to go. It's like too much everywhere.
Yeah. Well, there's a purge valve. It'll just dump it off if there's too much. But I agree with you. Let's do the left rear.
Hold up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to hold it.
All right.
Go.
Communicate.
I don't know if I got it centered. It looks pretty good though. Come check it.
Looks good to me, bud. I'd say you did it good. You did it real good.
Check this side though.
Oh, fuck. Well, looks all right to me. Perfect. That's a full fill. You can see the hoist. Our frame's not even on there anymore. So now we've successfully filled both rear shocks. I should be able to lift this. Beauty. That's exactly what I wanted. All right, let's fill these front ones. What do we got in the reservoir now?
75.
75? Okay, let's top this thing back up. So, all we're gonna do is just open this up a little bit, right? Filling. I guess I just leave that on there until it's fucking done.
Till this catches up to.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's that.
Sorry, pardon my language. Try not to swear a lot in the videos. Yeah, so this is what it looks like here on the launch. In case you're curious, this is the launch throttle 3, by the way. And it works wonders. Except for all these subscriptions that you have to pay for that will cost you your yearly wage. Yeah, light current truck stuff's like $1,600 just for subscription software. After you buy the tool, it's $10,000 Canadian. All right, so enough of that. We'll just close this off, see where we're at, I guess. Give it a second. Okay, that's really, really slow. Okay, we're top back up here, 175. Let's do right front hairspring, complete fill. By the way, in here, there's a brass fitting. I'll show you. We have a second set of these shocks in the back. I'll pull it out and show you, but I'll show you where they're bad for leaking. Okay, last one we got to do is the complete fill on the left front. So by the way, according to the service manual, what Dodge wants you to do is to go around and do a short fill on all of them once or twice. I can't remember, I think it's twice. And then go around and complete fill them. And basically they're saying that so that it puts some nitrogen into the bags and gets them to seat into their proper locations. And then you can finally fill them. They just don't want it to be a completely collapsed bag and then you hit complete fill and they spring out and don't seat properly and they're fully extended off to the side, which wouldn't be good. But that's the reason they want to do that. So not so bad if we have it in a situation like how we have it on a jack stand and we had it, the truck was squatted down, the bag can't really go anywhere. It's completely your decision. Okay, all our springs are filled. Let's go clear faults. Let's wipe the system. We don't want any codes. That way if we have any issues, they'll come back and we can see what's new and ignore what was old. What I'm gonna do is leave these fenders, these liners out, because now this truck was in an accident. That's the reason that we're changing these. But I think what I'm gonna do is probably just take it for a drive and keep it over the weekend. Today's Friday. I'm gonna probably drive it for a day or two and just monitor it and make sure that it's not bleeding down, and might just leak test a couple spots just to double check my work. You can just use soapy water to spray down any of the fittings. And I do have a video of like the top 5 spots to check for leaks. And while we're here, we're going to just quickly run over those spots that are high potential leaking locations. All right, I decided let's just show you how to leak test them. Get yourself some dish soap out of the kitchen, mix it with some water, put it in a cheap spray bottle. Now this brass fitting that's up here, you can see we've got a plastic line that goes into this brass fitting, that tube looking thing, which then threads into the top of the strut, which is aluminum. Now the aluminum corrodes where the brass and the aluminum meet. So I'm just gonna spray that down, get it nice and wet. I'm gonna go around to the other one on the driver's side. We're gonna spray that down. Let's head over to the back right now and do the same thing to the top of the strut where we screwed that brass fitting in. We're gonna spray that down and we'll just let that sit for a minute, get it nice and wet. Now another spot that leaks on these is this air bag. The bag itself becomes porous right on the rubber. Unfortunately, they put this cover over the bag and it's held on with some big zip ties. So unfortunately, you gotta cut them off, lift this plastic cover, which is a real pain to put back on, by the way. So I usually leave these to last. Like if it's leaking, I'll check everywhere. If nothing else is leaking, then I'll go and pull these covers up, because once you pull them up, you can put them back on, but you basically have to take the strut out, or sorry, the airbag out, and then put the cover back on and then install it back into the truck and then fill it up. It's just such a pain. Besides that though, I'm gonna leave these. This fill port block up here that's got our 2 fill ports on it, they're real bad for the plastic. For some reason, in around, like I say, it's just literally plastic block that they've cast threads into, and our brass fitting goes into there. Real bad for leaking. If we take these cap covers off, once again, we've got aluminum fittings into a plastic housing. So I'm just gonna spray that down. I'll spray the other side down. Any of these fittings, we just spray it all down, and then we'll just let it sit. And you'll notice if you come back and there's a bunch of bubbles, like you can kind of see how we've got all these, it's like white foam, little bubbles. Well, it'll get like real bad. Like see that one right there? That one's leaking for sure. See how it's just about to drip all those bubbles out of there? That's for sure a leak. So right away, we've already got a leak. When I worked at Dodge, we replaced those all the time. If Funny thing was, you couldn't just buy that block at the time. You had to buy the whole reservoir tank to get that block. And those two big aluminum air tanks sit underneath the box, so they want you to pull the box off to change those tanks. Tanks are like, I forget how much they were. I want to say like $800 or something like that, Canadian. And I know a guy that would actually just, there's like a cross member rail that the spare tire carrier mounts to. He would just like cut that off to take the tanks out instead of pulling the box off, which was kind of crazy. And then he would just weld it back in. But wild guy. This switching block in here, I've seen them leak before, but they're not very common. I think I've only ever seen one leak. And we'll spray that down. Pretty much any of your air fittings.
So that guy's leaking really slowly. Is that
Yeah.
concern or leave it?
So what's going to happen is your air compressor is going to cycle more. Every time there's a pressure sensor in the system, so every time the pressure starts to get low, the compressor kicks on and fills the reservoir tanks back up. And then the computer will turn these blocks, these valves, it's a valve block, it'll turn the valves on or off to fill up whatever struts it needs to fill up, or just fill up the reservoir if it needs to fill the reservoir. And yeah, it's just always monitoring pressure. And there's also ride height sensors as well right here. So if the ride height's all wonky, it'll set fault codes, or it'll try to add air to the system to equalize the ride height. So there's a bunch of logic in that, but yeah, basically that plastic block needs to be changed. And yeah, I was right. This other one is also leaking as well. So they're both leaking. Real common spot. I've seen the tanks leak as well. So if you look in there, it's a little bit difficult to see, but once there's, yeah, there you go. You can see that that line that goes right into the end of the tank. There's a line on each one of those tanks. There's two tanks side by side, and the aluminum corrodes, and then it starts to leak. It's just brass fittings in an aluminum housing, and the dissimilar metals corrode, and it just causes a leak. So air suspension, if you got it, it can be real expensive, man. If you live somewhere that's a rusty or corrosive climate, it's just a non-stop battle to fix these things, and it really, really sucks. So that's that. I sprayed that one. I'm gonna go do the other side, but that's basically it. Let's go just take a quick look at the front and make sure it's not leaking right now. Yeah, it looks nice and dry. All the soap dried up, but I didn't see anything that was immediate. So they do sell just these fittings from Dodge. You can buy them individually, but sometimes, like I say, that aluminum on the top of this shock, it gets so corroded and pitted that you end up having to replace the whole shock sometimes because it gets so bad. So I guess that's pretty much it. There's a scan tool you could buy if you want to try to do all this with the scan tool yourself. It's the X431. We'll put a link in the description. Just keep in mind though that you will have to purchase software subscription through it's called, yeah, it's authorized. I'll put a link in the description for what it is, but you basically have to go sign up and you pay a yearly fee of like 50 or $100, and that gives you access to the security gateway module to get through, which allows you to basically use the bidirectional functions of your scan tool to be able to actually command that block to open up to fill these shocks. Otherwise, you can only just read codes and read data. You can't even erase codes, which really, really sucks, but that's the way the industry's going.
Or you could sell this truck.
Or you could sell the truck.
Or you could bring it to scrapyard. Or you could replace it with springs.
Yeah, you can do a conversion. So we did this a lot at the dealership too, is we just ditched the air suspension and put regular coils in it. And you can just buy regular coil springs off of a regular Ram, buy used ones. You go on autoshack.com, buy some real cheap ones, and they'll just bolt right in. I don't think there's there's no difference as far as I could tell. We just bought regular ones at the dealership and put them in, they go right in.
Only issue is the code on the dash.
Yeah, so the air suspension, the air ride control module that's located under the driver's seat that controls the whole air suspension system, it will not like what's changed. So basically, what happens is you drive down the highway. As soon as you hit a certain amount of speed, the truck tries to lower to gain aerodynamic efficiency and increase your fuel economy. But it notices that when it commands the truck to lower, it doesn't actually lower. These ride height sensors know that because the truck doesn't really actually lower.
And it doesn't communicate with the pump and all that stuff.
And all that stuff too. So basically it just sets a bunch of fault codes, it spazzes out, and then it just sets a message on your dash. It keeps dinging, it says service air suspension. It's really annoying. Lights come on your dash. A workaround for that is just unplug the module, and that message, I think, will stay. It'll come on the dash, I think, once when you first start the truck, but then I believe it'll stay off. I don't think it'll continuously ding at you. And I don't know of any manufacturer or person yet that sells like a bypass module that you can just plug in and it just permanently deletes it. I know there's like some places they'll do a real software flash and just erase
The suspension module out of there.
right
There.
yeah, because that's part of like it's programmed. The engine control module or body control module will have all the different systems in the truck, and the air suspension is one of those systems, but you can go in there and actually erase it right out like the truck never had it from the factory. And but that's a whole nother thing. You need a special tool to do that, and only certain guys do it, and that's what they do is work on Dodges.
Be like a 5-hour video that we're never gonna do.
Right. So I don't know anybody around my area that does that. We got guys that are Chevy freaks that do all the Chevy stuff, but no Dodge guys. So yeah, hopefully we got lots of information in here to help you out. I know this air suspension stuff can be a real pain, but like I say, as far as filling it up goes, we got this kit that we've made up for you that's a fraction of the price of what you can go to the store and buy or buy on Amazon. It's like half the price. You just need a nitrogen tank rental. The dealership's going to charge you an arm and a leg, by the way, if you go there. It was like, I want to say people come in for fill-ups. It's like $1,000 bill by the time you get whatever fixed, plus get it topped up. It's expensive, so just try to fix it yourself. Like I say, it's kind of sucked that it didn't want to fill up by itself, because I've had it before where I could fill it by itself and I didn't have to go in with the scan tool. But maybe just because the system was completely empty, I don't know. I guess you'd have to do that anyways to change the parts. But
Would you recommend against using air if someone doesn't want to go buy nitrogen?
no, if you want to use air.
But it might rust from the inside.
Yeah, you're gonna get moisture in there, which you kind of already get moisture in there. There's a filter on the compressor that's supposed to get rid of any moisture from getting in the system.
Nitrogen's
And,
by the book.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is a purge valve that will rid excess pressure from the system, but I feel like it just basically it's a closed system that goes from the shocks back to the reservoir, back and forth. But I could be wrong. It might pull in air from the outside. I can't 100% remember. I have to look it up. But long story short, gets a leak, moisture gets in the system, it collects in the pump. Wintertime comes, it freezes, it destroys the compressor. Gets in the compressor, it destroys the compressor. So that's about it for now, I guess. I don't think we missed anything. So yeah, sorry for the long video. Hope it helps. Got any questions, put them in the comments below. Subscribe for more content. Go watch all our 1,000 videos on the channel. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. We'll see you in the next one.